Good morning. I've actually got a couple of articles I want to discuss today because looking at this one here has led me on to something else entirely about the state of the new car market compared to 10 years ago. So that video is coming up next, but this is from ThisIsMoney.co.uk. EU demand for electric cars continues to fall as sales collapse in France and Germany. Now, we did discuss this in a video over the weekend, but this is confirmed and this article went out last night. Demand for electric cars across Europe is on a continual downward trajectory after a spectacular collapse in sales in Germany and France. In the latest sign that the brakes have been slammed on the electric vehicle revolution, figures showed just 92,627 battery-only powered cars were registered in the European Union last month. That's down 44% on August last year. So we know this, the sale of battery electric vehicles is collapsing. The European Automobile Manufacturers Association, which published the figures, said the slump was driven by a spectacular drop of 69% in Germany and 33% in France, the region's two biggest markets for battery electric vehicles. So they're basically blaming the Germans for not buying enough electric cars for this big crash. Now, there's a breakdown there. Renault Group are down 64%, SAIC are down 65%. Now, that's Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation, and they really deserve a video all of their own. But that's essentially the vehicle brands IM, Maxus, MG, Rising Auto, and Roe. And we haven't got those yet in Europe. Stellantis are down 52%, Hyundai Kia 51%, and Tesla are down 44%. Now, Volkswagen sales have shrunk by 46%, and they've actually been outsold by BMW. So more BMWs have sold in Europe than Volkswagens. And if that doesn't tell you, I'll give you a little hint here as to what my other video is going to be about new cars. If BMW are outselling Volkswagen, that can only mean that Volkswagen's pricing structure is completely wrong. Think about it. BMW, premium brand, Volkswagen, people's car, but people are saying, actually, for that little bit more money, I can now afford a BMW, so I'll have that instead. Volkswagen's offering is completely wrong, as you will see in my video about what is going on in the top 10 cars for sale. Low battery on my mobile phone. Well, that's why I don't want an electric car. All had much weaker battery electric sales in Europe in August 2024. So we've got by brand, smart cars. They've got a little electric, looks like an SUV, strange looking thing. They're down 68%. MG are down 65%. Opel and Vauxhall down 63%. Citroen 63%. Fiat 55%. And obviously we know that Fiat have taken a break from producing their electric Fiat 500 because it's selling so well. Hyundai are down 53%, Kia 50%, and Polestar 47%. So we've even got big decreases in, Polestar and Tesla, who are heralded as like the best ones. Even those are not selling. BMW Group experienced a relatively small decline of 5%, whereas Geely and BYD registrations rose by 52% and 18% respectively. So again, let's just read between the lines here. All the European manufacturers are down, but the Chinese manufacturers are up. The Chinese takeover of the European car industry is going, well, it's going exactly as it was planned. Then I took a little look into the best-selling cars in Europe in August, and the best-selling car in Europe in August was the Dacia Sandero at £12,295. And again, coming back to what I just said there about Volkswagen's pricing strategy being completely wrong, the Sandero is £12,295, making it the cheapest car, the cheapest new car that you can buy in Europe. After that, it's the Tesla Model Y in position number 2. That's mostly because of the incentives that are on that, because that's a £44,000 car. But that is the only car in the top 10 that breaks the £30,000 bracket. The next most expensive car is £28,000, which is a Kia Sportage, which is 10th in the list. So people are still buying cheap new cars, but the car manufacturers have all moved away from making cheap new cars. Their offering is completely wrong. Instead of looking at what the market wants, they've followed what they want for profit and shareholders and government incentives without actually thinking about their consumers and the people that buy their cars. They haven't gone back and done the research on what cars were the top 10 best-selling cars historically. For example, the Ford Fiesta and the Volkswagen Golf. The Volkswagen Golf was the best-selling car in Europe for 34 years, and it's not even in the list. The closest the Volkswagen come is with the T-Roc in 4th place, and that's an SUV. What on earth is going on with these manufacturers that they've taken their eye off the ball so badly? Right, back to the article. The electric car market is now on a continual downward trajectory, the group said. A continuous trend of shrinking market share for battery electric cars in the EU sends an extremely worrying signal. Car makers are now at risk of multi-billion euro fines if they miss new targets designed to encourage take-up of electric vehicles to cut carbon emissions. The manufacturers need to stand up to the government lobbyists who are trying to push these mandates. Manufacturers also face the prospect of fines in the UK for missing draconian green targets. Green. Green in capital letters, green more as a brand than actually being green in terms of environmental, because we know that that doesn't work. The threat comes amid a mounting backlash against EVs from motorists. Auto Trader warned that the high price of battery-powered cars is putting off British drivers, as we see when the best-selling car in Europe is a Dacia Sandero at 12,000 quid. The online marketplace found that 9 in 10 UK drivers would refuse to pay more for an electric car than a petrol one, and 65% would budget only £20,000 for their next vehicle. And £20,000, pretty difficult to buy brand new, but if you want to buy in the used market, take your pick at £20,000. There's loads to choose from. The average cost of a new battery-only vehicle is 31% higher than petrol or diesel models at £51,000. Listen to what that is saying. They are incentivising. It's ridiculous, isn't it? You've got all these officials scratching their heads going, oh, I wonder why the battery electric vehicles aren't selling, when the average price of a battery electric vehicle is £51,000, while the best-selling car in Europe is £12,000. They have completely misjudged the market. The pricing structure, the pricing strategy of all the European manufacturers is way out of whack, and Volkswagen seem to be suffering the most. The lack of demand has prompted major car makers to hit pause on plans to manufacture new battery-powered models, and as we know, Ford are redirecting money from EV back into petrol. Volkswagen have just said the same. Fiat have, as I said, are taking a break from making the 500. US giant Ford scrapped plans to make a new electric SUV due to crowded market and weak consumer demand. And in June, Stellantis, formed from the merger of Fiat Chrysler and PSA, that's Peugeot, Citroën, etc., Opel and Vauxhall, threatened to close its Ellesmere Port and Luton plants over UK government quotas for zero-emission vehicles. That could be a really good strategy for stopping the madness, because at the end, what you've got to do is hit them in the pocket. And if PSA, Chrysler, Stellantis turn around and say, yeah, you can push ahead with your mandate and you can do the 2030 ban on internal combustion vehicle sales in the UK, but if you do that, we're going to destroy Ellesmere Port and Luton, and we're going to move elsewhere. And the UK government would then be forced to act. So hit them in the pocket. In the EU, the ACEA urged a delay on ambitious green goals. Once again, I use green really as a brand name instead of actual environmentalism, because we know that the most environmental thing to do is to keep your old car for longer. The ACEA said refusing to extend targets coming in next year and the 2035 deadline for ending production of petrol and diesel cars raises the daunting prospect of multi-billion euro fines or unnecessary production cuts and job losses. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is This Is Money today, and my conclusion is that the automotive manufacturers have completely lost the plot and long ago stopped building cars that people actually want, and now they are reaping what they've sown. They have invested billions of pounds in vehicles that we don't want or need. And now they're paying the price. So another video coming up next, because I've been looking at the numbers from 2014, and it seems also the other thing that has gone out of the window, along with, you know, taste and sensibility and all of that, is fuel economy. Because in my next video, you'll see that in 2014, the top 10 best-selling cars in Europe were significantly more economical than the top 10 that we're selling today. So as I said, green is just a brand name. It doesn't mean anything. Thanks very much for watching.